Greetings, Iain from RTO. Welcome to the second video of the day. We've done a birthday top 10. Now we're going into normal business, and today we have got a viewer's request for Snow Patrol, a Northern Irish Scottish band formed in 1994 in Dundee, a lovely place. The band consisted of Gary Lightbody on vocals and guitars, Nathan Connolly on guitars and backing vocals, Johnny McDade on piano, guitars and keyboards. They used the name Polarbears to start with, but they changed it to Snow Patrol when they added Johnny Quinn on the drums. I like Snow Patrol, always have. They were all formed in 1994, as I said. There were students at University of Dundee. They've released 8 albums, and they've just released a new one this year. Now, I like all of the albums, but I like them in this order. There are reasons why people are going to go, oh yeah, that's the best album. It is a good album. Some of these are good albums, but there are reasons why they're lower in the ranking. So, here's shock number 1. Coming in at number 1 is the debut album from 1998. Songs for Polarbears, because Polarbears was their original name. So on here is Gary Lightbody on vocal and guitars, Mark McLennan on bass, Johnny Quinn on drums. Other people helping out was Richard Colburn on drums on track 2, Isabel Campbell vocals on track 7, and Fraser Simpson on guitars on track 11. So the first track on here is a track called Downhill From Here. I really like this track, but I've heard live versions of it and it's far better. The mixing on this is not very good. The vocals and the drums sound too tinny for me. You lose them, which is a shame because it is a really good track. Then we get Starfighter Pilot, one of my favourite tracks by Snow Patrol. I love that riff and I love that little droney sound on it. It's a really strong song. The Last Shot Ringing in My Ears. Good track. The drumming is good, but it's overpowering. You don't hear the rest of the band. Absolute Gravity. I've never been a fan of this. I just find it a little dirgy. I know there's people out there that probably like it, but I just find it dirgy. Then we have Get Balsamic Vinegar, Quick You Fool. I think the production again, the mixed balance, when you listen to this on headphones, it seems to be, you can't hear everything going on. It sounds more like a demo than a fully mixed track. Mahogany, like this track, my favourite on the album. And so the acoustic sounds on this are really good. I like that. NYC, some nice little riffs on this. Drumming's a little bit overpowering, but it's still a good track. Lider Hittle, pretty good, solid enough track. And then one of my favourite tracks on here is Makeup. I like the bass line on this, and the most important thing, they've got the mix right. It sounds fantastic. In fact, I might put this one in the playlist today. It's not my favourite on the album, but it's one of my favourites. But thinking about it, I think I'll put that one in. Okay, Velocity Girl, a bit of a filler here. I never really liked that. Days Without Paracetamol, it's a very dark matter song, but it's a really strong song. I like the bass line on that. 15 Minutes Old. I like this. It's such a basic composition, it's quite dreamy. And we got Favourite Friend, another one where the vocal mix could have been a little bit better. I like the track, but the vocals don't come through as they should. And the last track, 100 Things You Should Have Done in Bed. The riffs have got a good, it's not a bad track. As I said, I do like this album. I think it's got some really good songs on it, but I think the mixing could have been a little bit better. There's a couple of tracks where the vocals, you can hardly hear them, or the drums are overpowering, and it spoils the rest of these fine musicians. But still, I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7, we have the second album released in 2001, When It's All Over, We Still Have to Clear Up. So on here is Gary, Lightbody, Mark McLennan, and Johnny Quinn. Never Gonna Fall in Love Again. Once again, the mixing that lets this album down. This does sound like a demo version, but I've actually heard a better version of this. It's a good song, but it's just not the best mix, I don't think. Ask Me How I Am, pretty good track. The percussion is good. I like the quirky drums on this. Nice lyrics, good vocal from Gary. Like that one a lot. Making Enemies, another excellent track with some excellent riffs on it. Really solid track. Black and Blue. This is one of those tracks where I'd love to hear more of the vocal line, but it sort of gets hidden within the song. Should have been a bit more prominent, but it's still a very good song. Last Ever Lone Gunman. The balance on this is really good. If they'd have got this balance on Black and Blue would have been a better song. It's a really good track. I found the right words to say. It's a bit of a plodder. I'm not a very big fan of this one. I never have been. We can't like everything. Battered Down the Hatch. Second favourite track. I love that little keyboard run in it. It's got some gentle drumming in it, which is nice. My favourite track on this one, though, is One Night Is Not Enough. Very good vocal from Gary. Nice and clear and crisp. The guitar riffs are strong, but not overpowering, and the mix is just perfect on that one. Chased by I Don't Know What. It's a bit busy, so I'm not a big fan of that. On Off, love this. It's just some gentle guitar with a nice gentle drum and bass. It works lovely. Really strong track. An Olive Grove, Facing the Sea. It's a little bit long for me. The other thing I'm not keen on it, again, it's that mix. You can't hear Gary's vocals are strong. Then we have the title track, When It's All Over, We Still Have to Clear Up. It's quite a good track. Nice ambient sort of sound on that one. Make Love to Me Forever. Lovely acoustic guitar on that. Very good vocal from Gary. Firelight, I've got that thing, the last track on this album, Syndrome, that's one of them. It's not very good for me. It's a little bit dreary. Just like the debut album, I think some of the mix is not right. It's a song, nice album, but I think the songs really need to kick up the jacksy to get the mix right. But I'm going to still give it an RTO ranking of 6.5 for the songs, because they are very good songs. Okay, coming in at number 6, we have the 6th album, released in 2012, and it's called Fallen Empires. It was the first album to feature future member Johnny McDade. So on here we have got Gary Lightbody on vocals and guitars, Nathan Conlon guitars, Paul Wilson bass, Johnny Quinn drums, Tom Simpson on keyboards and samples, and Johnny McDade on piano and guitar. First track on here, I'll Never Let Go. Great song. I love this. One of my favourite songs on here. Very catchy tune like that. Then we have probably one of my top 10 songs by Snow Patrol, Called Out in the Dark. I love that drumming on here. It's absolutely brilliant from Johnny Quinn. The riffs on this are super. It's a great vocal from Gary, a fantastic track. The Way to Love is a great track. I love how this builds up. The tempo about 3/4 of the way changes. Everything seems to come together for the finale of this track. Absolutely super track. This isn't everything you are like this. Again, it's just quirky. It's got some nice guitar. Very, very good. Then The Garden Rules. This is a really nice, gentle song with some really nice lyrics. Wonderful stuff. Fallen Empires. Excellent track. I love how this builds up. Again, they seem to build tracks up to really excel. Then we have Berlin. It's a little short track. It's pretty good. Another of this is one of my favourite tracks on here. Lightning. Its simpleness, it's the acoustic guitars and the piano, and a very fine vocal from Gary. New York is another really nice song. Just gentle to start with, and they just add a few more textures into the song, and it works well. In the end, solid track. It's got that distinctive, what I call Snow Patrol sound. Very, very good. A fine vocal from Gary. Those Distant Bells. It's just a very solid song. You know, they're just very good songs on this album, and that's another good one. The Symphony. It's got a great bass line on this one. It's really strong. It drives that song. Paul Wilson's put a lovely bass line down on that track. The President. It's okay. There's a lot of sound effects on it, which I don't think needs to be on there personally, but there we go. Broken Bottles, Former Star Prelude. It's a short piano piece, but absolutely wonderful to end the album. This is a very strong album from Snow Patrol. Excellent tracks. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, coming in at number 5, we have the third album from 2003, Final Straw. It's got Gary Lightbody, Mark McLennan, Johnny Quinn, Nathan Connolly. And the first track is one of my favourite tracks, How to Be Dead. I love the quirkiness, and it's got a brilliant drum beat from Johnny Quinn. Fantastic. Then we have a track called Wow. A wonderful bass line here from Mark McLennan. Very clever what he's done on that. It's an excellent track all round. Gleaming Auction. I think this is a little bit different. That the drums are in the forefront with the guitar sort of backing it up, and it works on this track. They got the mix right as well, and it's excellent. Whatever's Left. You know, the first two albums they didn't get the mix, but they were starting to get the mix right on this. This is a really good track. Excellent work on that one from the band. Spitting Games. The chorus is pretty catchy. Another really excellent track. On Chocolate, I just love the backing vocals on this, the harmony. It's got a great guitar solo on it as well. Then we've got Run, a very simple song. I think that sometimes the simpler you keep it, the better it is, and that is one of them. It's quite a long track, but it doesn't spoil it. Then we have Grey's Knees. I love this track. It's just got a very catchy tune to it. I like that. Way and Means is my second favourite track on here. It's quirky, little tune, gets your feet tapping. Tiny Little Fractures, a good little rock track from Snow Patrol. Quite a little bit heavy in places. The riffs are terrific. Some more fantastic drumming. Somewhere a Clock Is Ticking. It's the oddball on the album, but it's not too bad. And the last track is a track called Same. It's a lovely piano piece to end the album. It's sort of dreamy as well. Another pretty solid album. Got some super tracks on here. There's a couple of bits that I'm not too keen on, but on the whole, it's just a really good listen. Always like listening to this album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 4 is the 8th and the brand new album that only came out on the 13th of September, and it's called The Forest is the Path. Now, it's their first album after the departures of bassist Paul Wilson and drummer Johnny Quinn, and it's their first in 6 years. So on here you've got Gordon Lightbody, Nathan Connolly, Johnny McDade, with Ash Sohn on drums and Ben Epstein coming in on the guitar bass. The first track is called All. I really like this song. What a vocal from Gary. His vocals have never changed over these years. Solid track. The Beginning, a great song. What really impressed me is the sound on the drums. This Ash Sohn taking over from Johnny Quinn was a big boost to fill, and he's doing a good job. Very good track. Then we have Everything's Here and Nothing's Lost. I love this track from the first moment I heard it. It's just got that, you know it, the sound, you know it's Snow Patrol. It's fantastic. Your Heart Home, another warm-hearting track. A great vocal from Gary. He really sings with heart and soul on that. It's a fantastic track. This is the Sound of Your Voice. A very good track. Solid, you know. New members of the band fitted in well with this one. You wouldn't realise that it's a different bass player and a different drummer. It sounds good. Hold Me in the Fire, my second favourite on this already, because it's got some really quirky keyboard work here. Not sure if it's Gordon or Johnny, but it really does sound great. Gary, sorry, and Johnny. Get my names mixed up. But it's a really good track. Years from That Fall. The bass line from the new guy Ben is terrific. It really guides this song along. Never really tire. There's lots of swearing on this, but who cares? It's just a very good track. My favourite is These Lies. I love these sort of tracks. I think the words are brilliant. It's a very solemn sort of song, but delivered wonderful. What If Nothing Breaks? Pretty good vocal again from Gary. It's fantastic. I like the end bit where you just got this very quiet little bit of keyboard, and the echoey voice from Gary is really superb. Talking about Hope, another really deep, meaningful song. Some simple guitar and piano to back up the vocals of Gary. And the last track is The Forest is in the Path. It is a stunning piece of music. The ambience on this track, it's gentle, wonderful track to end the album. I really enjoyed this album. When you have two members of the band leave, two important people, you know, they regrouped. They took a little while for this album to come out, but it was worth the wait because it's just an excellent album, and Gary is still sounding fantastic on the vocals. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, coming in at number 3, the 7th album, 2018, and it's Wildness. Gary Lightfoot's on here, Nathan Connolly, Paul Wilson, Johnny Quinn, Johnny McDade. Additional personnel on here, we have David Rossi on string arrangements, Sharon Davis on cello, Ben Hume French horn, and Alexander Rydell on the trumpet and flugelhorn. First track on this one is called Life on Earth, my second favourite track. It's gentle, it's ambient, one of the most ambient tracks I've ever done. Beautiful song. Don't give in. Another there's lots of ambience on this album. The vocal from Gary and the echo really adds to that track. Heal Me. Lots of acoustic guitars on here. They really work on these songs. Lots of acoustics on this. Then we have Empress, the best track on here. One of my favourite tracks by the band. It's just got ambience, it's got movement, it's got motion. It really is good. A Youth Written in Fire. One criticism on this, they use a drumming machine. Why? It spoilt it. Soon. Go back to the ambient, lovely sound, crisp tones, great vocals. Wild Horses. What a bass and drum line on this. It really adds to the, it's just one of them atmospheric tracks. Love that one. Life and Death certainly got that last track on the album. Bit of a filler track for me. Another great album. I like the use of acoustic guitars on this, really prominent throughout this album, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 2, the 4th album from 2006, Eyes Open, and it was the first to feature Paul Wilson and keyboard player Tom Simpson. So it's got Gary, Nathan, Paul, Johnny and Tom. First track on here is You're All I Have. I love the opening riff on this. Makes a statement. Just hooks you in. Great vocals as well. Then Hands Open, which I think is probably the heaviest track Snow Patrol have ever done. It's my second favourite track on the album. The heavy, heavy riffs. Next is my favourite track ever by Snow Patrol. And I've actually gone with what everyone else says on this one. It's Chasing Cars, of course. Oh, I love the opening to this. It's just one of Gary's most wonderful vocals. It's a lovely song. There's lovely harmonies on it. It's just one of them songs. It's one of the most played tracks of that year. Excellent track. Shut Your Eyes, another solid track. Love the bass on this, and the drums, that tightness is there, and this soothing synthesizer sound throughout the track really adds to it. And it's beginning to get me. So that 2000 sort of rock music, very, very good. Like that track. You Could Be Happy. Love the start of it. It's got that sort of that musical box sound. Very spooky, and then the guitars come in. It really is quite atmospheric, that track. Make This Go On Forever, another song that's so strong with that distinctive riff from Snow Patrol. Another fine vocal. Now there's a next track is called Set the Fire to the Third Band. Now this features Canadian singer Martha Wainwright, and it's a fine duo between Martha and Gary. Complement each other. It's one of my favourite songs off this album. Headlights on Dark Roads. You've got this wonderful, Paul Wilson's first album, working well with Johnny Quinn already. Very tight song. Love their work on that track. And then we have Open Your Eyes. And once again, it just belongs to the drum and bass. The rolling drums from Johnny Quinn all the way through is super. And then the last track, the finishing line, a really ambient, echoey sound on the vocal from Gary. It's an eerie track. It's a fine track to end the album. A great album with my favourite Snow Patrol track on it. But it's not my number one album, but it's very close from being it, and I'll still give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. But my number one album is their 5th album, and it came out in 2008. It's called 100 Million Suns. on here is Gary Lightbody, Nathan Connolly, Paul Wilson, Johnny Quinn and Tom Simpson. First track on here is a great title, If There's a Rocket, Tie Me To It. It's one of them tracks that builds up and builds up, and I think this is the best opening track on any of Snow Patrol's albums. Once again, it hooks you in straight away. Crack the Shutters. The piano at the beginning of this is really... these tracks all draw you in within a few seconds, and that piano on that does that. Once the rest of the band comes in, you're hooked. Excellent track. Take Back the City. Now this one starts off with a lovely acoustic and a great vocal. Draws you in again. It's just a brilliant track. My second favourite track on here is Lifeboats. This is all about harmonies and string sounding keyboards that really give it extra depth. The Golden Floor. Now this is a little bit different. You've got this percussion that sounds like cat clapping. I don't know if it's clapping or generated, but it just hits it on the button. It's a nice little bit. Okay, next up, please take these photos from my hands. This is a good rocker. I love their little riffs on this. It's nice when they really beef a song. They don't do it very often, but this one they really do. This is lots of beef. Set Down Your Glass. We've had a real raunchy, and we go back to one of these gentle tracks with some nice bell sounds on it. Really gives that atmosphere, them bells. The Planets Bend Between Us. Guitar work on here is lovely. I love the tone and the guitars they got on that. Really, really good. Engines. Now this has got a very different drum time signature. It's just behind everything, but it works, and it does help with that lovely piece of guitar work in there. Disaster Button is just full of wonderful harmony singing, solid riffs throughout. Then my favourite track is the last track, The Lightning Strike. It's all starts with the bass, with a gentle bit of piano that creeps through the track. It gets louder. This is split into 3 pieces. It's quite a long track. It's probably their longest track. But it just works. You've got the bit in the middle which is just got lots of energy. Then it dies back down to how it started. It's a wonderful track. Okay, there's not much between The Eyes Open and this album. They're best 2 number albums, but this got to my number 1 spot purely on The Lightning Strike. You know, to do a long track like this is a bit of a gamble, but it worked. It flows really well, and I just love how it built up towards the end, and that's why it's my number 1 album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go. There's a bit of Snow Patrol. I do like this band. Every album I like, but as I said, some of the mixing on them earlier albums could have been better. And I know these songs are good because I've heard them live. Okay, coming up next is a really different retro ranking. We're going to go back to, well, my childhood, near enough, and some of my favourite kiddie themes from shows I used to watch as a wee nipper. So join me for that. Bye for now.